Hello, friends. I hope this finds you well. So, I thought it might be fun to do a little series on the different ways I've utilized or different ways you can utilize animal communication, because I don't think we all realize just the vast ways that we can use it or that I have used it. So, I thought it might be kind of fun to do that. So, today I want to talk about using it to identify the best transportation method for an animal. So I use this personally with my horses, and I even used it with another horse that was potentially moving. And I want to say I used it with a cat, but I can't. A thing to note is that when I do animal communication readings, um, what happens tends to be it doesn't stick around because it's so like in the moment and so present and so channeled that I don't remember a lot unless it like really unless it was my own animals or it like really struck a chord. So different transportation methods. So for in my example or my experience with my two horses is that we are going to be moving to Vermont in a couple of months. And there's two methods that could get them there. There's flying on a plane from here to there, or there is taking a basically a semi or like a big trailer from here to there. So road or sky. And there's, my preference as the owner or as the caretaker of what I feel comfortable with. And then there's what they feel comfortable with. So how I used this was first, I did just like a really quick kind of overview without having a lot of the information. This was a couple of months ago of like, okay, this is how it could go. You could go on a plane, and this is kind of what it's going to look like with, explaining to them pressure and a plane and like what that looks like versus on a trailer. And my preference was always for them to go on a plane because that is going to be the least amount of time that they are out of my care. But on this initial one, the plane part felt very without knowing how they get to the plane. And I guess I just kind of assumed or thought like, oh, they like are walked out onto the tarmac and like up the plane. Not how it works, but that's what like was going through my mind when I was showing it to them. And I was like, oh, that's not going to work. Like my older horse, Jazz, like she is not like, it's not going to work. Like she's not going to do it. So I was like, okay, well then, likely we're going to have to go the other route. And then I got more information. So this is what it's actually going to look like. So this is what it looks like if they go on a plane. So from where they're currently at to where they're going to go. And this is what it's going to look like if they go into the van. And these are the horses that they would, because this is like a pretty big, quite a few horses moving from the same farm and same barn to the next one, Sadie. And so there's about 15, 16 horses going from like the same place. So like what horses are going to go in the van versus, we call it a van, but it's going to be like likely a semi, versus who are the horses going on the plane. So like, who are they going to be spending time with? And all of these horses, they don't really live with. So they know them, they live near them for the most part, not Ruby as much since she's a baby and hasn't been there as long. But Jazz definitely has, and Jazz is also very sensitive. So then walking them through so if you go on the ground, then you get into this trailer and you have this like little box stall area. You can kind of like turn around and do these things, but then you don't get off until you get to the place. So you'll be on this place for like 3 days straight. And it'll be stopping, you'll be moving, but there'll be fresh air coming in, but you will not be getting off until we get there. Now the air is going to be one really long day, like almost a full 24-hour period of you transporting from one place to the other. It's getting onto this trailer and then going to the airport, and then getting into the smaller area and getting onto a plane and then getting off and getting onto a trailer, and then you're there. And what was so interesting was that when I told her who would be going in each place, the decision was made because of that, not because of the going in the air and that being shorter, or going on the ground because it was like less all over the place. That she was like, no, I'm not going because so and so and so and so are going to be in that same place, and I don't want to be sharing space for that with them for 3 days straight. Because again, she's so sensitive, and they are stronger personalities, and in some instances have taunted her in ways like across the fence. And so she's like, no, I don't want to be with them. So like, I want to go on the plane. And with Ruby felt, she's the younger one. Ruby felt very like, okay, either way. However, seeing them on the other side, she felt the road felt like it would be harder for her mind of having to get on something and not being able to get off and run around, because she's a 9-10 month year old. I think she was born in April, almost a 1-year-old, I think. I don't know. We don't really know when she was born. But that she would, like, her mind would be fried, and like it would be really hard on her mind psychologically as such a young horse not being able to run around. So yes, she could do either. However, she leaned towards the plane too, because it would allow her time to be able to run and not have to be so confined for so long. So it was so interesting, because even though that's what I wanted, we got there in such a way that I wasn't, even though financially I would have loved like the road part of it because it's a little bit cheaper. But the reasons for why they both chose that were not ones I was really taking into account at all, and make so much sense. And there was another horse on the property that was potentially going to go on this trip as well, and is no longer able to go. However, when I talked to him a couple of months ago, I think, and we didn't know if he was going or not, he had said also that he would go if he could fly, but he didn't necessarily want to go if he had to drive. And I don't remember the reason, but I do remember that because I thought that was really interesting. It was like, yeah, I'll go if I can go on the plane. However, like if not, then leave me here. So if your animal is traveling somewhere and there are different ways of different options of how to get them there, animal communication can be such a great tool to use in order to not only for them to understand what's happening, but for them to for you to understand how they feel and what their choices, whatever the choices are. If there's 2 choices, if there's 3 choices, if there's 4 or whatever, that they have a say in it, and that you can get their mindset and their emotion set and their spiritual set all under, like all in one area. It's for you to fully understand which way to go, what is going to be in their best interest, because they can't just necessarily be like, I don't want to go that way, right? They can't like speak English to us in the way that might be really helpful. And maybe sometimes we wouldn't want them to, because you're like, oh, I don't want to hear what you have to say. So this is just one of the ways that you can utilize animal communication. If maybe it's a way that you thought of or you haven't thought of, and all the other I feel like traditional ways of your animal misbehaving or not coming when called or having some health issues or whatever, where you can just ask the question of like, why are you scared of so-and-so? Or why do you keep jumping the fence? Or why do you bark out of nowhere? Or whatever like, why don't you go to the bathroom in the litter box? Like whatever the things are, why do you buck when I try to get on you? Whatever those questions are, I feel like are much more traditional. And I really want to kind of show you maybe some out of the box type of ways that you can use and utilize animal communication, and how it's been really successful in my life as well as in clients' lives. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.